And now I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, Successful Conflict Management in Today's Work Environment. I'm going to hand things over to our featured presenter today. She is a global executive coach, Heidrun Z. Heidrun, you now have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayan. I'm so excited to be here. Welcome everyone from beautiful San Diego in California. As I said, I'm super excited to be here and share with you some of my knowledge and experience. Today, we talk about successful conflict management, a topic that is essential for every area in your life, every day, in work, in private life, with strangers, everywhere. Successful conflict management can totally change your life for the better, to the extent you would have never imagined. So let me just share something about me today. My name is Heidrun Z. Heidrun Z is a German name. It's very difficult for most people here. So just say Heidi and Run. That makes the first name, and Z is as it is. So I encourage you just to try to say it is like a TS and Z. Mayan said it very nicely. So I'm a global executive coach. I'm an expert leadership advisor. I have 8+ years of leadership experience in a large global organization. I have 20+ years in coaching, team management, project management, change management. I'm a certified coach, mediator, attorney, MBA. And in addition to that, I've gone through extensive trainings in communication, negotiation, transformational change, and I have practiced my skills successfully for more than a decade with people of all generations and cultures. I've worked with almost every single country in the world. I'm the founder of Top Leaders Now, and I specialize in up-leveling leadership, increasing productivity and engagement, winning and retaining top talent, change management, communication, navigation, complexity, all what you need in terms of great leadership. So now tell me about you. What is your background? Please type in the chat box. You see that on the, Mayan, I think on the right side of everyone's screen. They see a chat box. Either that, oh yeah, we have a poll for that actually. So please select, are you an HR professional? Are you in a managing role? How many years managing? Up to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, 5 or more years, or you're just starting out in a new job? Please let us know.
All right, I just started that poll. We'll have this up for the next few seconds here. So if everyone can just put their vote, and then I'll just let you know, Heidrun, what we have here.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, looks like we have great participation here, and I'm going to close the poll now. It looks like we have 11% HR professional. We have 16% in a managing role that's less than 3 years, 12% of managing role 3 to 5 years, 37% in a managing role 5+ years, and then about 24% just starting out in a new job.
So who is number one is managing role up to 3 years?
The number one is managing role 5 or more years. 5+
or more years. Mm-hmm. Who is number 2?
Number 2 is just starting out. And then number 3 is managing role that's 3 or less years.
All right. So we have a great mix of people here. That is exciting. So then let me know, what would you like to get out of this webinar today? Would you like to not be so afraid of conflict anymore? Would you like to understand conflict better? Some people just don't know what to do with it. Would you like to know how to approach conflict? Would you like to be able to deal with conflict better? Or would you like to be more relaxed when conflict arises? And Mayan, can they select more than one answer here?
Right now, I think it's just one at the moment. But we have a lot of folks, really good participation on this one. I'll let this poll run here for a few more seconds. All right. I'll get ready to close the poll now. And let's see, we have in the first, with a whopping 48%, a lot of folks want to be able to deal with conflict better. Second, we have 28% saying they want to be more relaxed when conflict arises. I'm with that. I'm with that one. Everyone on that one as well. Third is know how to approach conflict, and then we have 5. The understand conflict better and not be afraid of conflict falls at 5% or below.
All right, let's do it then. So as I said, I up-level leadership. I help people up their game to become great leaders who make a difference, inspire others, and be remembered for their excellence and outstanding achievements. I help people stay connected and motivated. I teach them how to collaborate when working remotely, and I teach leaders how to lead remotely, which is super important right now. And today we talk about something that is essential to leadership, about successful conflict management. And I promise you, mastering successful conflict management is life-changing. So let's jump into it. Conflict. It's like a lot of people look like this when they see conflict, right? Some people feel it in their stomachs, others feel it in their throats. Ooh. But you know what? It doesn't have to be like that. Successful conflict management. When you learn how to deal with conflict, conflict isn't such a bad thing after all. Where there's conflict, there's always opportunity. Albert Einstein knew that already. So today, we talk about causes and risks of conflict. I want you to understand that better, causes and risks of conflict. You'll learn some tools that you can apply that help you approach conflict constructively and that help you deal with difficult people because they are out there. Then I'll also show you 3 essential strategies for successful conflict management. And then I would like you to ask all your questions that you have. And if you have a question throughout the webinar, I believe Mayan said they can just type it into the questions box and we can address it later. Is that right? So that they don't lose it?
Yes. Any
forget about it?
questions?
All right.
Yep. Any questions they have, they can just start typing it in and we'll hold it till the end.
Right. And I will ask you guys to participate actively by typing things into the chat box. Just type something in where you're from so that I can see that you are here. Type it into all, not to the organizers only. Oh yeah, there's a little button, there's a little field under the chat box. It says to organizers and panelists only. Oh, so they can't share it with everyone? All right, so I cannot see that. Mayan, I need you to help me with that then.
Not a problem.
Or is there a way that they can share it with everyone?
It would only be through questions, I believe.
Oh, so questions I can see?
Yes. We have some folks that are saying they're here from Sacramento. We have some from Michigan.
All right, can someone type something in the questions box, please, so that I can see if I can see that? Mayan, will you let me know when something's coming in? And
we have folks typing in. They're from Arizona, from Memphis, Tucson. Have everyone, a good mix of folks.
Very nice, super cool. And thanks for participating. It's super important. So Mayan, you will be the translator for me for that. So, hold on. Okay, now we're here. Now I want to hear from everybody about your experience with conflict. So I can comment on that throughout the webinar. Where do you experience conflict? We have a poll for that, I believe. And then if you would like to share a little more about it, you can type it in either questions or a chat so that Maya can see that. And Maya, oh yeah, here's the poll. Select one of the following. Do you experience conflict with your boss, with your peers, with your team, with your customers, or with your family? What's the most important here for today?
All right, we have folks participating here. Let's be up for a few more seconds here. All right, I'm going to close the poll now. We have, first, we have a lot of folks saying with their team at 32%. Second, 28% with your peers. Third would be 19% with their boss. And then we have 14% with family and 7% with customers.
All right, so those who answered for team, can you please let us know if you are the leader of the team or if you're part of the team?
All right, haven't seen anyone type in the chat, but we can move on. Yeah, we can move.
Yeah. So now let's look at what conflict is. There are is a great variety of definitions out there, but this is the one I like the most. It's so spot on. It's spot on, accurate, easy, and totally describes what it is. And an active disagreement between people with opposing opinions or principles. So that's where they get into conflict with each other. So now what to do with that? The first step to solve a problem, which conflict is to understand. So let's see what's exactly happening here. Let's see what causes this disagreement. What causes these opposing opinions or principles? Where does it come from? So the causes of conflict. One cause is unmet needs. Unmet needs. So if you need something and you don't get it, there is a conflict, right? So let's take you and your boss, for example, and let's say you have a family gathering coming up tonight or something. Yes, let's say something with family, that's good. And you need to leave in time or maybe even a little earlier, but your boss is just putting more and more work on you. It's just, he just totally doesn't get it, he or she. And you're there working, you're trying to get done, but it's just you don't know how to get everything done in that time frame and get out the door in time for your family gathering. So now this is not only happening today, this is happening quite frequently. So you're totally swamped with work and they just don't get it. And you really don't know what to do about it because there seems to be no door open. So now you get afraid that your relationships are hurt, and then the whole tumble starts going down the hill, right? Anyone been there? Well, I have. And I would like to know in the chat box if you've been in that situation. Mayan, you can translate that to me. So any situation where you have a need, someone else doesn't get it. And the need for being valued is really important. And that goes totally into the area with leadership, and you have to deal with people and manage their needs. And at the same point, if you're in a team with others, you have to manage your own needs and the needs of the other person.
We have a lot of folks saying yes, 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 yes. They are currently in that situation. There are folks that are overwhelmingly saying yes.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for your participation. That's really good. So another reason for conflict, we had these opposing opinions and principles. Where do they come from? They come from, for example, from deviating perspectives. Deviating perspectives can be based on different backgrounds. Different backgrounds, maybe how they grew up, maybe from a cultural perspective, maybe from a religious perspective. Different past experiences and different expectations, which are of course based on the background and the past experiences. Then another different perspective could be different levels of experience. And maybe people don't know the difference of each other. And those deviating perspectives exist in every company. They also exist in every team. And I see that all the time. So, and not only within the company, but also company and customer. So it's super important to be able to deal with that. Another reason, cause for conflict, are incongruent goals. So if you're going this way and your team member is going that way, at some point, it doesn't match anymore, right? So I think everyone can see that. That gap often creates a conflict. Then the next one, big one, lack of communication, lack of information, lack of information first. If person A, let's say you know fact set A, and your team member knows fact set B, and based on A, this is the right way, based on B, this is the right way. So just because you have different sets of information, you're not aligned. And don't underestimate that. That's a huge reason for conflict. And then what happens sometimes is that one of the two people, they have a feeling that this is not all of what they know. Like this is not all the facts that they have. So they start filling in the gaps based on their past experience, based on what they think it could be. And then it could totally go the other way. So this is a huge thing. So now we have unmet needs, deviating perspectives, incongruent goals, lack of information. And you know what the biggest thing is? Drum roll, please. The biggest thing are our emotions. The emotions make everything so much worse. And I mean everything. They are behind everything. They influence all of the other areas. And you know why that is? Because conflict activates our emotional brain. It causes emotional reactions, and it blocks rational thinking. So that's when everything goes black or white or whatever, and you can only see nothing anymore. So then the emotional brain, when let's say someone says something and it really triggers you, it really pushes your button, you know what happens? You're like this fight or flight, you know? It's like it's your amygdala kicking in. So this is what happens. And in that moment, what you get is either an aggressive response or someone avoids it totally, walks away, doesn't talk, shuts down, runs away. Neither of the two is helpful for resolving anything. So in that situation, the best you can do is really take a break. and then come back and talk it out or try to resolve it in any way later when your brains are in normal mode again and you can think rationally. The problem is, and the reality is, that most of the conflicts are not resolved. And that is a great, great risk for the company and for every individual. The risks of unresolved conflict, I just mentioned a few here, and there are, you will see it's a lot. People are totally stressed out. They don't trust each other anymore. It leads to health issues. Really, people are getting sick over this. They detach from whatever they do, from their job, from their relationships. They're not motivated anymore. Morale totally goes down. Their engagement is like below the bottom. No creativity anymore. People are not motivated to be creative, to bring anything for the company. The performance is way down. Decreased productivity. They stay at home more because they're sick more. I mean, it's not that they are just staying at home because they don't show up. They're really sick and they stay at home. Much more than if they were happy. And then at the end, you have employees quitting. And that's the most expensive thing for anyone. It's super expensive for the company, and it's super expensive for yourself also, because you have to get back on your feet. You have to find something new. So it's it's really hard. So, and there's one more thing. Listen to this. Whoever leaves a job because they're not able to resolve conflict, it's highly likely that they will not be able to resolve conflict in their next job. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're listening to this, and I'm glad you want to improve on this. All right, so let me show you. I promised you, let's see the time. Right, we have more time, that's good. Let me show you 3 essential strategies for successful conflict management. The first one, open mind. The first is an open mind. I'll get to that in a minute. The second one is understanding. And the third one is building trust. So this is the core here today, and I want you to listen to this. And if you have questions, let us know. Type in the chat box or questions box. Mayanne will help me hear this because I can't see it. So let's dive into it. So we have open mind, understand, build trust. Okay, open mind, understand, build trust. Open mind. What does it really mean, having an open mind? Don't think you know. Don't judge. Don't draw conclusions. So let's talk about this a little bit. Don't think you know. Whatever we do, we are biased by our own past experience. Or maybe you've been in a similar situation and you think, oh, this is how it is, right? And this is the solution. So someone else goes one way and you think it's totally not a problem, but for them it's a problem. So for you, imposing that, your past experience on that, doesn't really help. So don't think you know anything, because whatever is inside you is what's inside you, but you will never know what's inside the other person. You will never know how another person feels. So don't think you know. Then another typical scenario is something does something and you think it's totally stupid. And you judge that person. Or let's say, let's show me an example. You work in a company and one of your coworkers comes in half an hour late every day. And sometimes they leave early. I agree this is pre-COVID, where everyone was in the office. But still, just imagine that situation. It doesn't really settle well with you, right? Because you think, like, I'm here in the morning and I stay later and they get paid the same that I get. So and they get credit for what they do just like I do, and they do less. So you judge that person. But what you know is only that little piece. You don't know the whole picture. Why are they coming late? Have they worked in the morning? Do they have issues with their family? Is there something with their child? Why do they leave early? Maybe they have to get back to something. You know, you don't know. So don't judge. Be open. Just say, okay, there may be a reason. And if I'm not okay with it, maybe I talk to that person. But don't just go like this. Just ask. All right, we get to that in a minute. Then don't draw conclusions. That's the same, like what I said. If you see something and you think, oh, this is what it is, right? Because you are biased by everything that happened in your past. And what happened in your past is not their past. And what's you're thinking, what's you're feeling, excuse me, may not be what they are feeling and thinking. So the next is understand. How do you understand? What's the most important thing in understanding? You see it right here in the beginning. It's listening. It's listening with the intent of understanding. It's not listening and saying, yes, I know it better anyway. It's really listening with like an open mind and saying, okay, I want to understand what's happening. And then based on that, we can find a solution. All right? Listening is the most important piece of communicating. Communication is so important, and listening is the most important thing in communication. So then when you listened, the next thing you want to do, you want to clarify and confirm your understanding. Because, as I always say, in communication, it doesn't matter what you say. It only matters what the other person hears. So the same way, if someone else says something, it doesn't matter what you hear unless you understand what they are saying. So clarify and confirm your understanding. This is a point that most people miss. Because someone else is saying something and they are listening and they want to understand, but then they take that information and they are again biased by their own past experiences, their own. And that's where the emotions again come in. You know, you feel, you have that memory of the feeling, and you have, and that's coming up again, and then you color what they said with what you experienced in the past, even though it was meant totally differently. So clarify and confirm your understanding. And then the last part is don't impose your own experience on others. I've touched base on that already. So if someone has a problem and you say, oh, this is what I had and it was totally easy. Maybe for someone else, it is not easy because they are at a different point in their lives right now. They're at a different point in their careers right now. Maybe they have a different education, whatever. And they are just different personalities. Some people learn this way, other people learn that way. So don't impose your own experience on others. Understand, see what they need, you know? The last one is building trust. And ideally, building trust starts way before conflict arises, you know? Building trust start right now, today, with everyone around you, okay? This is how you can do it. Treat people with respect. See them as valuable. And whatever their concerns or situation is, don't play it down. It's not important. The second is show that you care. One part is the listening and the confirming. That's part of already showing that you care, because you care about where they are. You don't just push yourself on them. Show appreciation. Show you care by showing appreciation. Thank them for sharing their concerns. It's they trusting you if they share their concerns with you, and appreciate that. Don't just play it down. Don't just give them a negative comment. Don't just tell them they're stupid. Say, okay, thank you. Thanks for letting me know. And then see how you can help them. And that brings me to the last point. Let your goal be to help others and create win-win situations. With whatever you do, let your goal be to help them and create win-win situations. Because it's not only your interests, it's their interests also. And their interests are valuable, just like yours are. Any questions regarding this? If you have questions, type it into the questions box so that Mayan can see it. We can talk about it afterwards. So now I want to tell you the benefits of successful conflict management. I said it will change your life for the better and to the extent you would have never imagined. In a company, it's increased engagement, people are more creative. If they are valued, if something conflicting comes up and they're able to resolve it and people feel that they're heard and someone is taking care of them, their performance will totally go up. Their productivity will go up, and the stress, so much less stressful. It's so much easier if you can talk about things and resolve these things, and people are not sick as much, people are not quitting as much. And I mean, it's just, imagine that you go to work and you have a really great team and you can talk about everything. Doesn't it feel awesome? That's what successful conflict management is. So now let's hear some of the questions. What are your situations? Give me some feedback. What are you dealing with? We do have, it's 9:35, so we do have some more time.
All right. We do have one question that did come in is, how do you create trust in a boss that does not trust your experience?
So he does not trust your experience. That means he does not trust you doing a good job, I guess. If the person who asked that question meant it in a different way, please type it in the chat box, let me know. Otherwise, I just think out loud. So you have a job and you have the feeling you have to prove yourself. So first of all, the question is, do you really know he does not trust your experience? How do you know that? Are you imposing part of your own past experience, or maybe limiting beliefs that you have that you're not good enough? That happens a lot, and you are certainly not the only one if that is the case. And let's say it may be the situation or not. So a good thing to do is you could seek communication. You could seek a meeting with that boss and say, hey, I wanted to clarify the expectations. I wanted to make sure I'm here. I want to make a difference. I want to do a great job. Everyone does. I mean, and the reason why they hired you is because they thought you were valuable for this job. So that's the beginning point of this. They did not hire you. They thought that you would not be helpful. All right. Excuse me. I have something in my throat this morning. So that's the starting point for yourself. Know that they hired you for a reason. So you're there, you want to do a great job, and now you say, okay, listen, I want to do a great job. What exactly is it that you need? And where can I do better? Please always tell me where I can do better, because I want to improve. It's often that there is not enough communication and people don't know how valuable they are. People don't know how good of a job they do. And then, of course, you want to improve because it's much more fun. So let them know that and ask them really, where can I improve? What can I do better? Like, give me feedback on what I do, and then just be good in what you do. Like, be proud of what you do, and do a good job. Like, have fun in doing a good job. So the person who typed this question, if you could please give me some feedback, if that was helpful, if I should expand on something more, that would be great.
Yes, I'm trying to see here. He said that the supervisor, after 19 years in that position, it's a new supervisor, does not trust the historical experience with the system. So it seems like you're answering and going down the right path for that one.
All right, we have a new supervisor, and they're not trusting the people who are there.
Yes.
Can you say that again?
Yes,
okay.
It seems like this person who asked said that there's a new supervisor, and after 19 years in this position, they don't seem to trust him with the historical knowledge and experience with the systems that that person is now walking into. So he has a lot of historical knowledge, and the new person just doesn't trust him.
All right. So first of all, maybe that person has some insecurities. I mean, with that person, I mean the new supervisor. So a new supervisor comes into this role. They have all the experienced people. The people who've been there for 19 years, they know what the thing is. Now, maybe the new supervisor, you don't know what his or her part is. Maybe they have to change something, and they're trying to find out how to do that. But a new person, maybe you can invite him to join the team and welcome him. The best thing you can do for someone is to show them your goodwill. Show them that you want to be there for them, that you want to help them. There's a story that comes to my mind in that connection. Is not work related. It's in New York City, in the subway. There was a young man starting being not so nice to people and throwing some bad words around and making some trouble in the subway and coming against another person. And then there was a woman. She looked at that man, and he was really, I mean, everyone else was trying to get away from him because he really seemed to be dangerous. And that woman walked up to him and gave him a hug. And he burst in tears. So you never know what's inside a person. And when you deal with a new supervisor, it's like that mistrust, you know, you're like, can I really, how does he smell? You know, it's like dogs coming to see each other for the first time. So they smell first, so they'll see, is that dog trustworthy? Will he play with me, or is he gonna bite me? You know, the same is what humans do. We do the same, and we often don't even realize it. So maybe that new supervisor is in a difficult position also. Maybe he's a young guy, and maybe he needs to learn things, right? It can be that they come in and like, there's like what people say, you're never as smart as when you're 20 years old. Maybe they just think they know everything. So you know that you have that knowledge. Maybe the thing is, when you do something for 20 years, 19 in your case, you get a routine. And often people don't see anymore how much easier could it be with new things coming in. So be open to that. It doesn't mean that it would be easier. I'm not saying that. But just be open to maybe different suggestions that the new person has, and let them know that you're supporting them. And do a great job. Do a great job. And then people will learn that you are there and they will start trusting you. Trust is not something that comes right away. There's this 3-second rule when we see each other and we can, yes, okay, this person is okay, this is not. But even if we think in the first few seconds that that person's not okay, you can still build trust and you can turn this around. So it's a process, and it's trust is something you need to invest in. Everyone needs to invest in trust. Building trust is an investment. I hope that helps. If there's anything open, please let us know in the chat box.
Hey, I think you can move on. Lots of good information, lots of good questions.
All right. What are other questions that we have?
Some other ones that did come in is how can you be a mediator when two employees are having conflicts without taking sides when you want them to communicate and come up with a solution?
All right, so first thing, a mediator never takes sides. A mediator is someone who is a neutral person outside, helps two other people express their concerns and helps them navigate through that. That's why we have real training in mediation, because it's not so easy to do that. It's something you really need to learn to do. So, but if you want to have two people communicate, so if you're leading a team and you have two people who are not well communicating, you could first of all talk to each person separately and just find out what their concerns are. Find out where the issue is for them. And then, or you can say, hey, I realize there's something going on between you. I don't know what it is, so I would like to help. How can we make it better? And then sometimes they need first to express what it is, and that makes them think about what it is, because a lot of times people are not at ease with the situation, don't really know, they can't really pinpoint it. So then once they have the opportunity, I'm not saying being first, but it's like really an opportunity for them to think about it and have someone who is interested in helping them. Like, you know, when someone comes to you and says, hey, you two don't get along, like, can you not just get your act together and do it? So don't do that. Be interested in what their problem is. Listen to them, try to understand what they're saying, and try to understand what their conflict is, what it really is. And then maybe that shows you a solution already. And maybe you can give them another perspective. That's what a coach does, for example. Me as a coach, I come in and I look at things, and because I'm not caught in the problem and have that tunnel view, I'm coming in from the outside, I have a totally different perspective, and then I can reflect some things back to them, and they're like, oh, wow, yeah. When you say it, it's so clear, I didn't even see it, you know? So if you could just be that person for them, be helpful to them, and then ask them what they need. How would they see the way forward for them? And maybe it's not totally aligned, but maybe there is an area where they're aligned, where they have an overlap, and then you can build on that and say, okay, that's great. You know, you have these points you both want. So, and then you just do it differently. How can we make it good for both of you? So if there's something open to that, please let us know in the chat box. Otherwise, if you would like to give me another question.
Sure. This is going back to staying calm. You had mentioned, take a break and come back to the conflict.
Right.
What are other examples of how to stay calm in addition to that?
Taking a break, how to stay calm. I think one of it, how you can stay calm is knowing yourself, knowing how you react, like really, that sometimes you have this outburst of emotions and like 10 minutes later you really can laugh about yourself, you know. And even if you have this outburst of emotions and you say something, then really just go back and say, I'm sorry. You know, that's part of showing that you care, that if you see that you're wrong, you said something that may not have been that nice, or you could have said a little nicer, and just go back and say, hey, really, I'm sorry, I was a little overacting. And that totally breaks it up, you know. It breaks down the wall between you, and then the other person can say, yeah, you know what, it's fine. Or maybe they say, you know what, we shouldn't have gone there, or wasn't that, I didn't mean it that way either. Staying calm. Another thing is, like, whenever you feel things coming up, take a deep breath. It helps. Take a deep breath 3 times, 5 times, drink something. And then some people go, and that's a really cool thing. If you are able in that difficult situation, first of all, to know that it's not that bad, you know. The world does not break down. So, okay, so this is, and just be aware, respect the other person. Like when someone else comes at you, if you know, just remember that you have no idea why it is that that person's acting like that. You have no idea why that person has that sharp tone. You have no idea what was happening with them outside the office before you met. Sometimes you just have a bad day. Things happen to you, and believe me, it will hear, other people can hear it in your voice. Other people can hear it and see it in your body language. People, like, it transmits. It transmits. Maybe they're not smiling that much, and that's the thing, you know. Try that on a road when you walk around. It's hard now with the masks, but I did that in New York City. I walked along the streets, and I had a big smile. In New York City, people walk like this, and they look down. They don't look at anybody. They look down and they walk fast, and that's how they walk so fast, and they will bump into each other. But when you walk the streets and you have a big smile, people turn around for you. It's like people are like, oh wow, and they smile at you. It's amazing. The success of that is amazing. So the same thing is if someone has a bad day, they're not smiling that much, you know. And the same thing is if someone comes to you and they're not smiling, then it makes you a little, oh, what's going on? You know, you're like really receptive already. So just be aware that maybe they need help. Think about that. Maybe they need help. Whatever they do, if someone comes at you and you think maybe they need help, how can I help them the most? Your aggression level is down already. So, few things. Take a break, as we said. Breathe. Remember, there's always a solution, and always have in mind, how can I help the other person the most? You never know what's going on with them. Just be helpful. Just want to be helpful, and know that they don't want to attack you. They're just out of alignment with themselves. So that if you're aware of that, you will be much calmer. All right. So we have 10 minutes left, Mayan. Do we have time for another question, or do you want to move on?
We sure do. Yeah, we do.
Nice.
What if the conflict stems from the fact that 2 people applied to a position and the one person received it, and there appears to be a passive aggressive nature to the conflict?
Say that again, please. It's like I have noise outside the room.
No problem. So it seems like the question is surrounding passive aggressive conflict. She says, the person says that, what if the conflict is stemming from the fact that she and another colleague applied to a new job and she received it, not the other. So now there's a passive aggressive conflict surrounding that that issue. How can one navigate that?
Right. So we have a situation where we have a company you have two peers and both apply for the same job. One person gets it, so one person moves up the ladder or into a desired position and the other person stays behind. So the other person is not so happy about them not getting the job. First of all, be happy in where you are. And a good thing for that is open communication. So first, understanding is important. So how would you feel if the other person got it? And even if you would be happy for that person, okay, the other person is not, but that doesn't mean you're a bad person. So the other person is not, so understand, are they just jealous? Would they really have needed that change? What are the other options for them? Maybe you can have a conversation with them and find out what are better options for them. It's not your fault that you got chosen. I mean, everyone, I guess, is allowed to apply for that job. If everything was clean in how you got that job, that's what I assume for now. You got the job, someone else chose it. So now the other person has to deal with that, of course. And you have to manage that. I get that also. And you just, the best thing is having an open conversation and maybe showing your goodwill, showing that you want to have the person. So if you are now the supervisor of the other person, respect them, treat them well, appreciate the work they do, like really be nice to them like you are nice to everyone. You don't have to treat them better than other people just because you feel bad. That's not a good thing. That will haunt you in the end as a leader. But be genuine, be appreciative to their work and include them as a valued person in your team. And then communication is super important in that part. We have a whole, New Horizons has a whole separate course for communication. Communication is such a big area and such an important thing. And it's also for one thing is important that you can take away today from here is when you communicate with the other person, just be open. Be open in your mind, as we said before. Be open in your mind, understand where the issues are, and then really show that you care about that person. Say, okay, yes, I get it. I get it. But you have that situation now and you want to work with her or him and ask them what the best way for them would be. So how would they like to participate? Maybe there's a role in the company that they would really like to do. And then maybe that's a whole other opportunity for that person and for you. So open communication, listening, like having that open mind, listening, understanding, don't impose anything on other people, and really have that mindset, have that feeling inside you that you really want to help the other person create that win-win situation that really will help. So, as I said, if I answer something and you have a follow-up question, you can always type it in also.
Great.
Reach out after, and then
I think we're heading up to the top of the hour, so
right.
Hedren, I think we have a few more slides to go through.
All right, so we'll move on. Thank you. I want to say thank you for everyone for the great participation. Super awesome. You guys are great. Thank you. You're amazing. So let's recap what in this webinar we learned about the definition of conflict. We talked about the common causes of conflict, typical reactions, fight or flight, right? The risks of unresolved conflict, terrible risks, and 3 essential strategies for successful conflict management that you can apply today. Go out there, apply it with your peers, with your friends, with your family, everyone. listening, understanding, open mind, building trust, changes the game totally. The benefits of successful conflict management, we talked about that, and the strategies for successful implementation. So I want to hear from you again. What is your biggest takeaway for today, from today? Type it in the chat box, questions box. Mayan will let us know.
All right. And while everyone is just typing in to that chat box, I know we're heading to the top of the hour. If you want to go to the next slide, Hydron, we can run through and then
Do you have like a word or two?
Nothing so far.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
Any questions? Just we talked about questions already. Anything else coming up, please send it in and we'll take care of it.
Not a problem. Someone did say they're listening and making an effort to understand. So that's one of the key takeaways.
So say it again, please. I didn't hear that.
Listening and being open-minded and making an effort to understand. A lot of folks are saying that trust and understanding and listening and open mind. A lot of folks answering with that.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you again. Thanks for participating. I hand it over to Mayan and Kara now to talk about New Horizons and their courses.
Not a problem. Again, everyone, just to let you know, if you're interested in any of the material that was presented today in this webinar, or if you have any questions regarding what's available to you, please contact your local center for more information. You can log on to newhorizons.com and do a quick zip code search for the nearest center closest to you. And we've been delivering classes online since 2001, and our facilitators are trained to engage our learners and encourage class participation the same way Hydron was doing here. Each of our leadership classes have post-class resources that are also available to you to encourage long-term growth through our continuous learning, even long after the course is over. If you hit the next slide, Hydron, please.
Of course.
Here's our upcoming class schedule. It's up to date on our website at newhorizons.com. The content that's covered today relates to several different courses and classes that we have. And this slide just represents just a few of the popular titles that we have relating to today's session. And the next slide, please.
All right. I want to say thank you again. That's my information just for you to screen it again. Thank you. Thanks for participation. You were a great crowd. And thank you all.
Thank you. Yes. And just a quick reminder, webinar schedule is up to date on our website. Just click on the webinar's link to view the schedule. And lastly, we are recording this session so we can pass this along or review any of the things that Hydron and I went over during the session. So please be on the lookout for that. With that being said, thank you again, Hydron, for presenting on behalf of New Horizons and for everyone for joining us today. We appreciate that so much. Hopefully we can see you on another session again soon. With that, you may now log off. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.